First person that I will call on is the chairman of the committee, Sam Horowitz.
Mr. Mayor, after...
Oh, before I do that, Sam, they too are limited to the 1 minute.
I was going to make it brief. After the many hours of discussion in the committee and the big, long discussion in the City Council, I think we've proven loud and clear that this is an anti-discrimination bill and not a bill endorsing any lifestyle. And on behalf of all of the members of the committee that support the bill and the council members do, I urge the mayor, please, to sign the bill. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bob Dreyfus.
Mr. Mayor, for me today, this is a personal experience. In 1962, a young Catholic boy and myself managed a black man's campaign for campus-wide office. One morning we heard outside of our window, "Wouldn't you know those Teps running a Habe nigger?" Well, that really burned us. 15 years later, that Catholic boy invited me to his home, but sent his life companion to the movies because he wasn't sure about how I would accept that. For him, for all of my friends, and for the members of my family who will be directly affected by this bill, I know that when you sign it, New York City and the New York City Council will be a much better place in which to live.
Councilmember Noah Deere and Arthur Kautzman have waived their 1 minute, and we're going to go now to Councilwoman Mary Pinkett.
Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased to be here as you are about to sign the legislation. And I think that at this particular time, there are many of us who perhaps might say, if you didn't have the courage of your conviction, you might want to be somewhere else. And yet in this holy season, it seems to me it is appropriate to be here, to do the difficult task, to take the bitter step, but to do the right thing. And this is the correct thing to do. And I think for those who are religious, who have a feeling that love and healing is important, you are going to teach us how to do that. Because in the final analysis, we are all children of the same God. Thank you.
Tom Stoddard, the first speaker, took up in his remarks, and therefore it's not necessary to repeat them, all the things this bill doesn't do. Because, regrettably, most of the comments made by opponents, whether in this room or outside of this room, relate to fears which are unwarranted. I don't believe, regrettably, that my simply saying that the fears are unwarranted, that people will simply say, well, okay, I no longer will fear. But it's necessary to put it on the record and to ask you, those who have these fears, a year from now, to see whether or not my statement to you that they were unwarranted was correct or not. I think you will find that I'm correct in that statement. So I shall not discuss those unwarranted fears other than to associate myself with the comments of Tom Stoddard, who commented on each and every one of them. Instead, I want to talk about the positive aspect of the legislation. I don't think that any fair-minded person would be able to say that there isn't discrimination practiced by large numbers of people against homosexuals, whether it be in employment or housing in particular. I don't think that you have to be a genius to understand that many of those who have been the subjects of that discrimination wouldn't come running to our law enforcement agencies to tell them, because in fact there was no law that would protect them. And by coming in and complaining when there was no relief, it would have made no sense in many of those cases. So now, when I sign this law, as I will, there will be that opportunity. Now, people have to understand that the purpose of this law is not to be compelling people in a way that is insulting to them to carry out the law. That is why authority is vested in the Human Rights Commission. They are there to seek to get compliance in a responsible way, seeking to create understanding of the situation. It is only where people, at the end of reasonable, responsible proceedings, decide that they will just simply flout the law, that sanctions come into play. It's my hope that sanctions will never come into play. I doubt that that hope could be fulfilled, but I'm hopeful that most people, even if they are in opposition, will say, we have to carry out the law. Now, I know that Martin Luther King Jr.'s image and his comments and what he stood for has oftentimes been invoked in civil rights legislation, and it should. I want to invoke it again. I remember hearing him say, and I think it was in a discussion program rather than one of his major speeches, although it might have been a speech as well, where he said as to why civil rights legislation in all of its forms relating to eliminating bigotry against people on the basis of race and ethnicity, why it was required and what it would do. He said, you don't have to love me. That's what he said. But you have to respect my rights. Now, I think that's very, very important. This legislation doesn't require anyone to give an imprimatur to a lifestyle that they think is wrong or violates their religious tenets. Not at all. This legislation simply says that people with that lifestyle have rights. And you don't have to love them, but you have to respect their rights. That's all